Hey, Tapman, Jim, how are you doing, buddy? Glad to have you with us today, and welcome to everybody from the POAP team.
Good.
POAPathon.
POAPathon, just to
POAPathon. I'm
clarify.
sorry, my man. Yeah.
No, that's
Baby, let's
okay.
go.
What's up, Beastadon?
Hey, y'all.
Uh, no, that's always something, to clarify is like, POAP is its own entity and POAPathon, which we can get into in a second, what is different there. But thanks for having us on.
Of course, my pleasure. And Tap and I had a chance to meet. Well, so I first became aware of POAPathon for the ETH Denver event, and everything sort of followed from that. I had a chance to meet you, Tap. It was awesome, man. I'm really excited to learn more about and share with what you all are up to.
Yeah, Beastadon's on with me, and Genetics as well. They both made it to Denver, as well. And they can do an
Amazing.
intro, and then yeah, we can
Amazing.
hop in. What's up? Yeah, it was nice to meet you both in person. Well, all of you four.
I mean that yeah, the event going process is amazing, especially if they have a team to meet up with and rally with when you're at events like Eat Denver and some of the NFT events that are going on as well. We have like some correspondents for our live show that are at like different events that we check in with on our live show. Um, it's just an amazing experience. Like you just, you know, meeting new people and stuff. I'm gonna shut up. Jen, what's up?
Yeah. Live events. I'm glad to be back, like going to live events. That was what I did before Web3 was festivals and um like Comic Cons and such. So it's fun to see it from a Web3 perspective. I was interested to see how many people would be in like Web3 costumes, and there were some. So I was happy.
I gotta ask though, just like so what is your takeaway, like the comparative takeaway from ETH Denver versus other like non-crypto stuff that you've been involved with as far as events?
So normally I go to like Ren fairs. Definitely costuming is better at Ren fairs. I'm sorry, guys, you're gonna have to step it up. Um, yeah, but
The cars aren't as nice
Yeah,
though.
yeah, there you
yeah, there's more air
You don't
conditioning
you
in
don't
Web
you,
three.
you
I
don't
mean,
you don't have a
watching
you don't have a
watching
Doge you don't have a Doge Maserati.
watching Vitalik is entertaining.
That's true. That's true.
go.
Then there is a photo of me shirt dancing with Buffycorn, and it will be forever that I danced with Vitalik because now any picture of Buffycorn is Vitalik in the
Yeah,
Buffy suit,
that's
whether
right.
or not. So,
Was that tense?
hmm?
Was that tense? Were you like, oh, this is
uh,
nice?
it was awkward because it was like first thing in the morning, but it was still really really loud because it was right next to the shill stage, and you're like, hold on, let's dance, and they're like, uh-huh, and I know like when you're inside of one of those costumes, you can't hear a thing. And also
Oh
like
yeah.
I had to like throw a shirt on over top of my shirt so I could put on the Buffy corn shirt and dance. And the guy was the person that was in the costume was like, "What are you doing?" It was very awkward. I'm very good at awkward though, so yeah,
This is necessary for good event attending, I think.
it is.
Yes,
It is also something I learned at Renfests.
right on.
T Wells, can I ask, were you at East Denver?
Yes, I was. I was only there for a couple days. So I got there like I guess Wednesday and landed, and then it proceeded to snow like whatever 4 inches immediately, and then I was out in pretty good time on Saturday. But yeah, were you
Yeah, I
guys
think I
there for the
drove
whole?
into that. I drove into that actually. No, I
Oh
was
no.
there 4 days over the weekend, the main event myself.
I
Yeah, Tap was there a lot.
Yeah, I got there on Wednesday and I decided to go to the Shapeshift party,
Mm.
which they were like, "Oh, it's in Golden." So I was like, "Oh, Golden," even though there's a snowstorm, like Golden is like a valley, right? No, it was at the top of the summit of Golden, at like the executive's party house that he owns. And so the buses actually got stuck on the side of a mountain, and we had to like I didn't wear a coat because it was like before the snow started it was like
Yeah.
It was
40
warm.
yeah, it was warm. So I ended up on the side of a mountain having to climb like it was almost like I was like climbing like Mount Everest with no clothes on is like the best way I could describe it.
Yep.
um, until I finally got to the house. It was kind of ridiculous.
Oh man.
Yeah, yeah. And then we played Pogs.
Go. I'm glad you
So
like,
it
made
was
it, man. We
fun.
were trying to head out there, but we missed. We were waiting for the second bus and it never came, and then we sort of heard this. So I think you you were the advanced troops, and we never made it. Did you make it back the
Yeah,
same night? I know some people like just decided to
I
stay there.
was. Yeah, I was fortunate that JB from Amadeus Designs, like he
Yeah,
was video shooting the event, so I had a ride home. But
got
I
it.
was like, dear Lord, I don't want to get in one of those buses because like it's probably gonna fall off a cliff and we're all like gonna
Oh
die. Like
God.
that's how bad the weather was.
It only happens
Um,
once every 2 or 3 years. Come on.
so I think that night, like that was a Wednesday night, and then Chilling Point was the next day. I got back
Yeah.
probably at like 1:30 or 2 in the morning. Um, and yeah, it was entertaining. But
I bet.
I think it was my first time actually getting to meet JB Amadeus from POAPathon, so it was like a fun experience.
He's a cool
Like
guy.
honestly, like he was kind of a yeah, he was like a guardian angel out there. I mean, like he was like he's like consummate professional. He's just working the entire time. But also like taking time to like tap. We had lunch with him. It just fun to be around. Like he's a great person.
Yep.
He's got a
So we want
partner,
to talk
right?
about
Yeah,
POAPathon?
man. Yeah,
Oh yeah, it's,
absolutely.
TW. TW is the partner in crime on the
Right, right.
videography side.
Yep, yep.
Cool, but yeah, no, I
Yeah.
wanted to hear about sort of origin stories. Where did the idea come from? Tell us about yourselves, guys. Everything
Yeah.
Poapathon. Yeah.
Yeah, and hey, it's probably gonna be like bittersweet because like I'll talk a little bit about like the overall where it came from, where we're at, and then a little bit of story on like background with me right now because I've been struggling with some personal stuff and like taking a little bit of a step back in the project. But I think that's actually like it's a it's a positive thing.
Sure.
So we can talk about that too. So this is like you're getting like the all inclusive here, or
Sweet.
all exclusive. Is that what it's called, Beast Don?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think yeah,
Breaking news.
absolutely.
Right. I mean, we know I've
You
been
heard it here
talking
first.
about it openly, but yeah, you heard it here first. So yeah, to get started a little bit, like, back in, I personally was involved in a Dow volatility back over the summer and kind of got sucked into the rabbit hole. Is probably the best way to put it. And there that Dow like it lacked a lot in regards to like community or I don't know engagement. And so I was sitting there and I'm like, oh well, let's make some POAPs, right? And and that was kind of the idea. And I was kind of like just observing, like I didn't build that organization. I was just kind of on the sidelines. Some friends invited me, and I wanted to see like how this whole DAO thing worked. And so it was like, well, we got to make a decision to do something. So I'm like, well, let's make POAPs. Okay, cool. That's an easy, like low barrier entry to like vote community wise, right? And then define a project, right? And it didn't have anything to do with the core project, but like it allows you to build processes on how moving forward you would make decisions. And so we voted to make POAPs for like 4 or 5 different things, like staking, voting, community, Discord participation, things like that. And that part was like relatively easy. And then it was like, shoot, someone's supposed to actually design these POAPs. And all of us looked at each other and we're like, none of us are designers. Like, and I think this is pretty typical of like the DeFi Web3 space, which is like none of us possess the skills really to make nice looking POAPs or design things, right? Like we're good analytically, we're good with ideas, we're good with writing. Um, And so at that point, we're like, oh man, we need to figure out how to get some better designs. And the joke was like, let's make a hackathon, but for POAP design, and we'll call it POAPathon. And that was back in like, I don't know, gosh, September of last year when we first got
2 years ago.
together. And yeah, it feels like many, many years ago. But yeah, that was the point at which we're like, okay, let's see if anybody else has the same problem. And so I saw this, like we had Uma come in and do an amazing POAP with volatility on one of our AMAs, and it was this dude named Surf Tranquil. I don't even know if a dude. I shouldn't assume, but yeah, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go reach out to Surf Tranquil person and figure out if they'd want to help us. And Surf Tranquil was like, oh, this is interesting. Yeah, we should make this into a bigger like hackathon thing. Love the idea. You should go talk to my friend Tangle. And Tangle, if you don't know, Tangle runs the sushi community. And so I'm like a nobody. I have no real relationships in DeFi whatsoever. And essentially the next thing you know, it's like Ben Rathers pops up and Fruity Cup from Uma and all these people, and they're like, yeah, we have the same problem, which is like we lack a lot of the elements of creative design within our communities. So at that point, it was like, well, let's do this and let's make it a hackathon, and everyone wanted to host it on Gitcoin. And Gitcoin was like, well, you can't do a hackathon. It costs $20,000, right? So at that point, we're like, oh, well, this is going to cost a lot of money because we need both money for Gitcoin as well as money for bounties. And so we just started asking around, like, hey, would everyone be willing to put money up to do this? And everyone was like, yeah, let's do it. So that was initially how the concept started into its first event, if that's helpful to know.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this is last
24
fall, right?
hours, 24-hour event.
No. Based on the 24-hour event was
Is
later
that?
on. So
Oh,
this was in November. And basically what we did is we were like, okay, we're gonna have a 2-week long hackathon. And I mean, for good or bad, I quit my job October 31st, not related to POAPathon at all. So I had spent the last 10 plus years in cybersecurity, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna work on this project full time just for fun, right? And we'll see how the event goes. And so it's supposed to be November 12th through 24th. And basically, it was like, well, to have an effective hackathon, you have to have live streams. So we spun up a YouTube channel with Zoom. We spun up community calls, and we planned out like, oh, we'll have a utility call, and I'll reach out. Like I reached out to these people that I didn't know, like Superfizz and Oops, and it just like kind of targeted all these like high profile people, asking them if they would be involved, and everyone said yes, like
Oh yeah.
everybody. And so it was really cool to see. It's like suddenly Unvetica from Gitcoin, Song a Day Man. We had Ghostbusters Afterlife movie
truly,
come
truly
in.
been a pleasure. Yeah,
Yeah, we had
all these personalities coming through.
yeah, West Coast Customs, right? And it was like, holy shit, like we like threw a party, and it was like a week and a half in, and it was like, well, let's make it another week, so we'll have it 3 weeks long. And so it was like we had over 3,000 people participating over 3 weeks, and it was just a giant party, and we gave away like I don't know, 35 or $40,000 in design prizes. And
Wow.
after the end of it, everyone's like, what are we gonna do next, right?
Sure.
So it was pretty fun.
Well, that's awesome, man. My intersection obviously sort of came over with the ETH Denver push and discovered how you all do it. And if folks in the audience haven't been over to the POAPathon server, definitely head over there. I don't know if somebody, and I can do this in a moment. I'm mobile, so I have little limitations in how much I can do simultaneously. But definitely check out the One Hive TV chat channel, folks. If you're with us in Discord, we'll put a link there so you can head over to the POAPathon Discord and check it out. I mean, the way you guys have it set up for the curation and different project requests, I just thought it was very easy to navigate. I know there's a lot going on, but I sometimes I'm telling you from an outsider. I know when you have like, our Discord is
It's
a
funny you
fucking mess.
say that.
Yeah, but
It's funny you say that. Yeah.
because everybody thinks their Discord is the worst, and I'm just saying I've been in a lot, and at least if you know what you're looking for and you have a little background, hey man, it was easy enough to navigate.
Yeah. We'll take, yeah, and taking a step back. So at that point, we were because I think the story will help tell what we actually do. Because everyone's probably still like, okay, so you threw an event, you had a design contest, right? Well, the thing is the artists are like, dude, we love this. This is a community where I actually feel accepted, and I feel like I have a chance, and I'm having fun, and I'm learning new things. So like a good example is genetics. Was introduced by Chris Crypto saying, do a competitive design contest and you might win something, but this is something bigger, right? And so it was fun, and genetics somehow stuck around, even though I think she got beat by Red Crystal, right? Genetics.
Yeah, I did. I got beat by my best friend, which was awesome.
And so it was like, okay, well, like this is interesting. Well, the first thing that I was cautious on is like, okay, one-time events are cool, but that doesn't really scale.
Sure.
And so like we wait a second, all of a sudden like people started showing up being like, how do I get a POAP designed? And so I was like, okay, now we have demand actually that we've created. People after the event are coming to us saying, how do I get good design like what you guys created? And I probably didn't give enough credit to like all those sponsors like Sushi, Beefy, POAP, Cheeto. I could go on and on. Like
No, for real. For
like
real.
they made it possible to give a bunch of money away, right? To all these artists to kickstart the community. And even before the event, POAP dropped us $8,000 to do a contest for NFT.nyc that like let us validate how we were going to do the competition moving forward. But it was kind of evident that like the Gitcoin platform was a developer platform and not for designers, right? So we're like, well, we need some more purpose-built tooling if we're going to do this at scale. But people kept on coming in saying, I want a POAP, and I'm willing to pay somewhere between $100 to $500 for it, right? Is the like product side. So I built products in the past, typically cybersecurity. So I was like, well, I want to build a product actually that like allows people to go make these requests on their own, and then allows artists to compete to win prizes, right?
Yeah.
And everyone thinks it's really easy to run contests, but the reality is like most of them are run really poorly. And so it was like, okay, well, let's get an intake form. So we use Typeform in Zapier and Discord, and we put that on POAPathon.com, and you can go there today and you can say, hey, I want to request a design, put all your information in, and then it gets posted in Discord. And that works really well because it's kind of like curated by us, at least guiding people on what things to ask for and what information's needed, so an artist can make a good design. And so at that point it was like, okay, this could be a real service, but like, let's throw another event and see how people react to it. And so Beastodon, you're excited about this. You want to talk about the holiday special that we threw?
Do I? I tried to stay up for the entire holiday special.
Yeah,
If we're talking about the 24 hour,
that's the one.
I think it was like 8 hours in. I fell asleep on camera and
So
had to be cut from the
so
from our broadcast.
it was funny. So
I
on that
missed
part,
my block. Yeah.
yeah, on that part, like basically it was like, okay, I think there's a media production thing here beyond just the design services, but it's kind of like it's kind of like a circle of reciprocal marketing, I would call it, where it's like nobody knows about the design service, so we have to promote it. But like, why don't we create something that's fun and cool that then promotes POAPathon as a whole, so then people realize we have design services and then they go use them, right?
Sure.
And so I was like, before I commit further to continuing to do this project, I want to like make sure there's more validation that there's a real community here. So we set out to do a 24-hour live stream. And we literally blocked different projects and different people to take up time across predominantly like NFT and DeFi. So like we had people like Creative G2 come on and uh, uh, do rap performing or
Yeah,
do music
fantastic group, by the way.
performance.
Yeah.
We had Vagina's NFT group come on and talk about their community and bring on artists like Jessica Yatrovsky, Coinbase art photographer, and all these different people. And so like we had 24 different time slots all filled up, highly distributed, and production was handed off from person to person. So it was like Beasted on, myself, Poet Viking, JB Discord. And the event was, we had 3,000 people in 24 hours. The live stream went all 24 hours. And immediately at the end, we found out that YouTube does not allow you to record more than 12 hours. So all the content no longer
Oh my
exists.
God.
Rip.
But hey, lesson learned. But like everyone was like, holy shit, this is the wildest thing that I've ever done. And so like we had Rocket Pool on and Eastaker had a segment. So like it was just a lot of fun. And it was like, okay, cool. Like we have an like we kind of have this like entertainment network product in addition to the design services, and it's reciprocal funnel where it's like one feeds the other. And then the idea was like, well, how do we get more design work? So in January, I was like, okay, I'll try and do this full time. So I'm kind of ranting on the story here, but it will set up for like where we're at now. And so I was like, well, how can we get more design work? I was like, let's make Pog packs. Like when I was a kid, there was Pogs that were around. Like we can turn these into a contest and we'll do it for ETH Denver. And everyone was just like,
for all the old heads out there.
yeah. And so like you had people of like, what's a Pog? And then you had people of like, oh, my kids had that. And then you have people like me and Beastodon and Genetics, which are like, I had Pogs as a kid and nobody's seen a Pog in 20 years. So yeah, we decided, hey, let's build Pogs and POAPs. And originally it was just supposed to be the packs that we brought to ETH Denver and had a cool POAP in there, and so be it. And so we started on that. Everyone we asked was like, yes, I want to sponsor. And thank you, T-Wells and One Hive, for being a sponsor in the pack. I'm looking at some of them actually right now that I haven't shipped out yet. But yeah, like we produced, like I had never produced, and nobody else in this community really had produced physical good game like this. So it was a lot, and I ended up having to pack like we gave away about we gave away around $10,000 in prizes to artists that competed to make the best designs. We had a company called Custom Pogs, and I've published on Medium how to produce your own packs if anybody wants to. But it was like 2 months of production, and I ended up doing them all manually assembled by hand. But the community came together with all the design work, all the packaging work, the slammer designs were contests, and it like everyone just rallied around it, and it was a ton of fun. The thing that was extremely exhausting is like I assembled 25,000 packs by hand myself.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dude,
I saw
I
the
wanted
pictures.
to, like, yeah, I just wanted to kill like, sorry, I shouldn't say that, but like, yeah, it was an amazing feat, but it was absolutely exhausting from like a production standpoint, right?
Sure.
So then we came to ETH Denver and dropped them everywhere, like parties, handed them out to people, and it was really rewarding to be a part of like showcasing the artists' work inside those packs. The artists are from like 30 plus different countries. And so that like, and all the design work was reflective of like all these friends and people within POAPathon. So it was, pretty cool feat.
Huge strength. Although it makes it really hard to coordinate our community calls, but
Yeah, I mean, I'll give a shout out to Rohek and Harsh. I don't know if Harsh is here, but those are the two fellas who won the contest and have some great art, and I know they enjoyed participating in it. So yeah, I mean, it's just really, I love the collaborative, creative sort of process and the opportunity for artists. It's really super cool.
I think I sent out Rohik's, I don't know if he's gotten them yet, Pogs. I think that was like a few weeks ago. But it's kind of cool because I've been sending them like the artists their pogs as many as I can, and like just recently, like Ribs from Australia just received theirs, and I don't, like different people throughout the world. And it's like this is crazy that we were able to collaborate and create this kind of experience and community overnight, which is really, really
100,
telling.
100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super Fizz early on was like, for me, Staker was like, well, you've heard of Cryptogs, right? And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he's like, check out Cryptogs. It's Austin Griffith's project. That is a POG NFT game from Denver in 2018. And I was like, holy shit, let's rebuild it and remake it. Austin, are you cool if we vampire attack your project? And he's like, oh, absolutely, go for it. And the project didn't work anymore. So it wasn't like let's build on the existing project. It was like, oh, this is NFTs built from 2018. Let's build new and copy off of it. More or less what is like the approach we took with his permission. And so yeah, then we had like this additional product or project, which is Cryptogs Reborn, which allowed you to mint when you had the POAP from the POG pack for a certain period of time.
I got that one.
Which
Yeah, I
to
FOMO'd.
which I think we have on our live show, our broadcast, we have Austin on the 12th, right?
Yeah, next week. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and so like what we decided to do right around the time of December or a little bit before was like, okay, we have a production network we created, like a television show essentially, that like kind of stems out of the two events that we did called POAPathon Live. So that became like a weekly live stream essentially it's a combo of like mixed entertainment that the community produces. And Beastodon, Genetics, myself, Poet Viking, JB Discord, Prof Warder all kind of like have run and operated that quote unquote show, which showcases like what was on last week. Beastodon, like we had someone like report in live from NFT.nyc, like
Yeah,
really
yeah.
more
One
geared
of our
towards like
free,
NFT Web
V
3
Friends
ish
members, yeah.
projects. Yeah, so it's kind of wild, but
Like live interviewing.
Yeah, we have a
yeah,
section called the Rift. We have a section called what were some of the other section names that we came up with? Like on the ground.
On the ground is kind of our like live production as far as people at events that are kind of like there and reporting in.
Yeah, and the whole idea was like that of creating like this highly distributed production show that like there's different hosts at times. It's kind of like Saturday Night Live every week, right? You have different hosts, you have different performers, participants. We've had rappers, we've had R&B artists,
We've had
poets.
like everything. It's crazy at this point.
Yeah,
Like
and
Grammy award winning Grammy considered, I'm sorry, artists. We
Time
didn't have
Magazine.
Drake on yet.
Yep.
Drake Time Magazine.
Timepieces.
We have timepieces, but we later found out that it was a daughter of a famous actor.
Yeah.
Which actor?
I'd have to
Sorry.
go
I'm
through
gonna
our
refer-
DMs.
Yeah, it's Prof Order actually discovered that I think it's Al Pacino. Al Pacino's
Yeah, it was something
daughter.
like that.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, just kind of like this aspect of like entertainment mingled with Web3 kind of variety show, which has been super fun. But like all this has always been built just with a distributed group of people doing it for fun for the most part. From a community perspective, and that's what POAPathon's been about. you know, for a bit of context there is like, okay, if people want to build and create, and then how does it sustain is the other piece. And so like a combination of like, well, we got meaningful revenue from the events we did and from the Pogs and POAPs, and from now POAPathon Live has sponsorship on the shows itself. So these actually are funded things that actually will provide the opportunity for people to make incomes as they participate, which has been intentional from day one, and super exciting. And then the other, like, I think POAPathon Live, like we're already getting sponsors. We have, I think, Balancer, which committed, and then a few others that are committing, because like DeFi and Web3 protocols need visibility for their projects, right?
Right.
And we have an audience that's captive, where we have hundreds to thousands of people that view our shows on a weekly basis. And so that kind of provides opportunity for them to get exposure to new audience that they didn't have otherwise. Maybe like, and I don't know how you guys work, but like it might be similar to, I don't know if you guys monetize your different shows as well, but there's not that many opportunities actually to like do paid advertising in crypto, because the market is still very early on.
Oh yeah.
And so like there's a ton of opportunity for more of these media companies and media avenues to spin up and monetize, right?
Yeah, entities. Yeah.
Yeah, most
T
definitely.
Wells.
This is
T
and this is a
Wells.
weekly
What do you
show,
want to
right?
ask? What do you want to ask us? Yeah,
Well,
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a 1 hour weekly show essentially. You know, think of it as like it could get syndicated as a television show someday. If you watch it, the production quality is really focused on producing a high quality 1 hour segment weekly. That's pretty cool. And it was kind of like the vision was a combination of like Saturday Night Live, a late show, but really being more focused on like Web3 DeFi.
But
Um,
also Pee Wee's Playhouse. We like to keep
yes,
it kind of weird too, right? I mean,
oh yeah.
it's kind of
very
the
much
space,
so.
right? You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah. So
Yeah, well, I mean, I would definitely direct people over. This is streamed on YouTube, correct? So if you go to the POAPathon YouTube channel, folks, you can subscribe and catch that Monday show.
yeah,
And
well, it's
yeah,
on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock
Tuesdays at 1. Okay, I'm sorry, I was looking at the
Eastern.
wrong thing here. Got it. Got it.
That's all
Okay.
right.
And so, well, I mean, the questions I had for you guys was sort of like I think I know a bit about Tap on the background, and clearly what you shared today paints a little more color on that. But as far as Beast of John and genetics, how did you guys get involved in POAPathon, and sort of what like makes you most excited about what you're up to these days?
go ahead, Jen. I'll follow.
Okay. So, before I was in Web3, my Web2 life, tried to go to college, didn't make it. I have some learning disabilities that what I call the real world has prepared people like me to fail against. And so I've tried 4 times to graduate from college. And all 4 times have gotten to a point where I get to certain classes and cannot get past them no matter what I do. And so I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm ever going to graduate college. And in my mind, that meant I was going to be a failure the rest of my life. And so no matter what I did, it just seemed like I had reached the peak of my financial, you know, glass ceiling at about $11 an hour working as a secretary at a community college, handing out paper tests to students who were going to go on and graduate and become, much more wealthy than me, in my mind at least. And then I had a kid, and when I tried to come back to work, my boss said, I don't think a new mother is really right for this position, and let me go. And I was like, wow. And so that really launched me into deciding to go full time into my art. And I've always been an artist, traditional artist or digital artist. I've taught myself through like YouTube videos and different online visual means of how to do graphic design. And I've done some very odd things around the internet, like accidentally going viral on TikTok several times. And so during the pandemic, I just launched full throttle into the DeFi world. And so I had a friend who
Did you have a
was
clock? Did you have a clock that went viral?
the clock didn't go viral. Actually, that's really funny though. The clock, I have a giant, like literally a giant steampunk clock that I made that hangs on my wall, and I made it custom for the set of Jesse James Monster Garage when it rebooted for Disney, or not Disney, Discovery Plus. So it was on episode 3 or episode 4 of Discovery Plus. It's in the background of almost every shot of that episode. And I filmed that journey of me making that clock from finding out that I got the job, constructing it the whole way, taking it, putting it on set, and then picking it up from set, and then my live reaction of seeing that it was, on set and all of that stuff. And then I got to keep it afterwards and hang it up on my wall. And part of that's on my TikTok too. No, I went viral on TikTok for like dyeing my hands purple, because that's what you do on TikTok, or like almost dying from hail.
All right.
I know. Important stuff doesn't go viral on TikTok. Are you kidding me? Anyway, so I had a friend in Bankless, or Bankless DAO that like they were gonna launch, and they said, hey, you have a very interesting personality. You're really, really fun. And so why don't you come over with us and start doing things? So I started like documenting my experience, becoming familiar with DeFi. Because I went from knowing very, 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 very little to knowing a whole lot through my year with Bankless, because Bankless is about to turn 1. And I knew that NFTs was the next step in the art movement, and I knew I needed to be a part of it. I just didn't know how. And so that was my avenue of getting in there. And so what's really cool is I went from this person that thought, I'm never going to do anything. I'm never going to be anything, because Web2 put me in this box. They told me, you have to do this and be this to become this. And then I entered this weird place of Web3 where that isn't true. Like, I showed up in this space, and I get on these discords, and I'm like, this is what I can do. Let me do this for you too. And in fact, let me help other people do this too. Oh, you don't have experience in making vectors? Well, come with me. Let's do some quick classes on it. I'll level you up. You can go do it too. And so I'm really, really passionate about like helping.
The year was 1592.
I'm really, really passionate about helping our other POAPathon artists leveling up their skills. And like, I enter some of the competitions, and oh my God, like it is hard to win.
I don't anymore.
Yeah.
There's this, like they're way better than me.
Some
like
of them,
legit.
Yeah, some of them I scan through, and I'm like, oh, that person entered. I'm not even gonna try, because like I look at their work.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah, but you never can tell. Sometimes the clients pick one, and you're like, really? It's always very interesting with the client, because sometimes the client, well, I call them clients because that's the world I'm from. But that what they choose is not what I think they would have chosen in the end. But yeah, that's my journey of how I got involved. But yeah, I got voluntold to be a part of POAPathon. So
yeah, and you hail from Bankless DAO as well, right?
Yes.
So it was probably like an easier transition than me, and with that, I'm going to transition to my story. Which is just that like one of my I worked front end development, and then got involved with POAPathon day one, because one of my coworkers was like, yo, this is perfect for you. So I started early, doing competitions and whatnot, and losing. And then, I actually ended I think it must have been my first or second bounty that I submitted to, ended up being like, we had a competition for the worst looking POAP you could create, and I won that, so I felt validated.
I love it. That was a funny moment.
So how
To which I think go ahead, T.
no, no, I'm curious, how frequently the contests occur? I mean, if people are listening and they're like getting FOMO, they want to participate. Are these
Yeah.
ongoing, or is it sort of a scheduled thing? Or
It's ongoing now. Yeah. So like
It's ongoing,
when we
rotating.
when we put up the so if anybody wants design requests, it's not like POAPs, but if you need an NFT designed, a POAP designed, a logo design, really anything incrementally designed, you can go to POAPathon.com, make a request, and you get to choose the amount of money, 100, 250, or $500 is the default amounts we have. And then
Honestly, the
you
more you spend, the better better results you get. I'm not gonna
Yes.
lie.
pay for what you
yeah,
get.
yeah, because some people
Uh,
are like, it's not even worth my
when
time
when
anymore
when
because
when
it's
people
gonna
when people when people post $500 bounties, that's when artists start to salivate.
Yeah, we crack our knuckles, we dust off our, drawing gloves, and we're like, let's go. The competition begins.
But yeah, if you're in, if you're on the I need design work, or I want some cool designs, even if you want a cool looking PFP or stickers for yourself, right? Like I ended up commissioning a POG, and I got some amazing artwork that I'm gonna use for the rest of my life,
Mm.
right?
That is the
It,
cool
like
part, yeah.
yeah, and you get to meet these different people, and then you can work with them directly as well. So there's all like, we're not at POAPathon, we're not like, oh, just because you like did this through us means you have to keep doing it through us. It's like, no, artists
Sure.
like engage directly with those people, because like the real opportunity that we provide to most artists is actually access to opportunity from other projects.
Hmm.
Yep.
Is one of the bigger parts of POAPathon. And so the more we encourage artists and designers to go into that world, they then come back and bring more work. And so it actually reciprocates to POAPathon's benefit to encourage people to go and engage with PeopleDAO, and go and engage with OneHive, and go and engage with all these different protocols um, that are sponsors for us. And that kind of works as a reciprocal talent pool and marketing engine as well, if you think of it that way.
Yep.
T. Wells.
Yeah, sure. It's like a hub. I'm getting all sorts of people interacting with each other. It's really cool. Um,
Yeah.
Now, Beastadon, did you say you're more on the technical side as far as your background is concerned? Is that right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And so what ended up bringing you to POAPathon? I guess if you were not an artist to begin with, was it the community more and sort of the
No,
opportunity?
I no, I mean actually no, I am an artist. I
I
do
getcha.
yeah, IRL art and whatnot. I'm mostly like front end development, so like
I
your
got it.
visuals and whatnot, UI UX. So yeah, it was like a kind of a perfect fit. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah. And do
and I won the ugly pull-up design.
there you go. And do you host the show occasionally as well? The three of you sort of rotate for the Tuesday show, or um,
So like what happens there is occasionally I'll be on the show, but typically I'm behind the scenes with like overlays and things like that, like doing the actual production of the show.
I got you. I got you. You run an OBS.
Uh, yeah. Hmm. Yep.
They
Yeah.
have it. I mean, like, it's down where we have like a theme song, we have an intro, we have commercials, we have transitions. Like even like
Yeah.
Beast and Honor and Poet Viking have it to where when someone comes on the show, their Twitter handle shows up in their name.
Yeah.
Um, it's pretty cool, the level of OBS production going on there, and animation and whatnot.
Well, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, and I would like we're constant like we constantly trying to we're trying to push that as well, like push forward on production quality. So
Yeah, absolutely. And do people? So do you?
while having fun,
Of course.
right?
You got to keep the Pee Wee Hermit, right? You, so if folks are, do you sort of announce out like the topics that are coming up on shows? I mean, if people were to enter the POAPathon Discord and interested in learning more about like the show, or where should they go first? If someone lands in the Discord from today's show, what are the right channels to check out? Maybe you could point them in the right direction.
Well, it kind of depends, right? Like if they're artists, like our bounties category, but we are pretty much 100% transparent. I mean, like if people want to come in and they want to help, make that known. We have an option to kind of choose roles based on interest. And yeah, it's
Hey,
just
there on
be
that
there.
yeah, on that note, kind of twofold, which is like looking out for announcements, which typically dictate when the shows are. Um, there's ongoing calls quite regularly on the planning sides, and then the bounties get posted and get announced in the announcement channels as well. And then there's a section called productions, and the productions are kind of where all the work happens. From like a POAPathon Live, Cryptogs, and all that stuff. So, we're kind of like, we kind of emphasize it's like people meander around. There's a lot of people in our community that are like in the shadows of the lurkers, but like they usually then, once they kind of participate for a little while, then pop up and when they're comfortable. And I think that's one thing on like the mental health side, like the things genetics was saying and the things Beastabound are saying is like a lot of people like are super cautious on getting involved or participating in things. So by being an incredibly transparent community and allowing people to participate freely in just about anything in the community, like it allows them to spend some time to get to know us before they hop in. Um,
That's a benefit for the established and the newcomers in the community.
Yeah.
and then
In my
people,
opinion.
yeah, and then people come and go. Like people consistently come and go, and they have different obligations. And that's one thing I think that's been particularly important is like nobody up until recently has done any of this for a paycheck or for money. And so you have to say this community is somewhat based upon people being able to come and go as they need or as they please, as well. And that I mean, like that kind of hops in. I know we have like maybe 10 more minutes. I can hop into a little bit about my scenario, and what's going on with me if we want to, because I'm kind of in that same boat where I have like some personal obligations and decisions and whatnot to make, and that's been kind of hard. But one thing I'm happy to discuss too, if we want to go into that.
Yeah, I'd
What
love to hear it. I mean, I
what
don't
do
know
you
if
think
anybody
about
else wants to.
taking
Go
what
ahead.
do you think yeah, what do you think about taking questions, Wells?
Yeah, I have some. I want to make sure I draw everybody's attention to the One Hive TV channel in Discord. So if you have questions for the POAP team, please drop them there, and we'll definitely we'll check that channel. And I also want to, if you're with us on YouTube or
Can you
Twitch,
drop their Twitter?
yeah,
Can you
definitely,
drop their Twitter?
it is on screen as well, folks. Yeah, so at POAPathon, I'll put it there, and yeah, I want to make sure everybody also knows that tomorrow's show is featuring. It looks like what NFT NYC. I just want to make sure you get a chance to plug that too. Yeah.
Big recap show. Yeah. Yeah. We're having yeah, our
Well,
folks from all the events going on. So to recap on that.
Now,
I actually met yours, Wells, the One Hive.
yeah, absolutely. So we're
I may be the only one not following you right now.
so my personal handle is twells_eth, and then One Hive is at onehive.org, right? So yeah, definitely give us a follow there. And we obviously we've got a number of shows each week that we'll be tweeting out about. And as far as POAPathon, they get the show tomorrow, as we just mentioned here, on YouTube. And I see Genetics. Are you going to be hosting this, or I see your name added on the tweet?
Yeah, so I'll be one of the co-hosts tomorrow with Prof. Werder, and I might have, I don't know, we'll see. There's lots of things still happening in the background. You never know.
I hear you. Well, at this point, I don't see any questions in the One Hive TV chat immediately, so I'll keep an eye on that, and we can double back if necessary. But if I want to pass the mic, I'm happy to do that to you. Pass the mic to you, Tap, and have you help us a little bit understand what you're up to
Yeah.
now, man. Where you're going? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So a little bit, which is like, I mean, the good thing is we did Gitcoin grants. I think I'd have to double check, but like we ended up being like the third or fourth highest funded project for GR13 Gitcoin grants round. And if anybody doesn't know what Gitcoin grants round is, it's essentially a program where if you're working in Ethereum and Web3, they use quadratic funding to where you can apply for a grant, and then people essentially put their vote based on putting money towards your grant. And then there's a multiplier that you're eligible for the matching pool. And we were eligible for a few matching pools, which was Gitcoin, Polygon, and I think one other one, like NFTs or something of that nature. And so we ended up raising about $75,000 through that grant, which is great. And so that kind of puts us put us in a position where it's like, okay, we did make a decision to bring on Cosmo Burn for pay to do some development on the Cryptogs game and then start to build out the POAPathon design services. But yeah, it kind of got to this point where it's like, okay, there's actually money to fund this project and fund people working on this project, right? For really the first time. Me personally also have been in a position where like I haven't, like I'm a sole breadwinner at home. I haven't worked since October 31st. And POAPathon's been a ton of fun, and there's a real thriving community and growing community. But I kind of ended up in this position where like I took on a lot really fast. I have, much like genetics, like I have a lot of mental health needs. And I tend to do a ton of stuff, love doing it, grow things very, very fast, but like it gets to a point where it sometimes gets out of control. And so it was like, I kind of was in this position where I'm torn, where I'm like, dude, I gotta go. Like I spend the last 5 to 6 months on POAPathon and that's it. Like I need to go spend time on my real life, right? And I need to sort out what I'm going to do and how I'm going to make income and all these different things. Kind of the reality is like with the grant that did provide access to money where I could start paying myself something. However, I think one of the things that I think of is it's like, okay, number one is like, this is a distributed community. The whole point of it is to be distributed. And right now, like I'm spinning up all these projects, leading and owning them, but it's like hard to get other people to take ownership over them. And part of that's me, right? Part of that is like my personality, type A, like go profile, get shit done. The other side of it is it's like, well, if I take money, like I come from a world where like I was a cybersecurity executive. You can imagine the type of money that someone in those positions might have made. I can go and get work and get paid significantly, which is needed from a family situation, right?
Sure.
And I kind of, so I ended up in this position where it's like, I don't want to pretend like I don't have money. I do, but a lot of it's locked up and I have tax obligations, all this different stuff. So for me, it's like, well, it's actually probably better actually for me to go find full-time work and do that. And actually that provides the opportunity for this to be truly distributed, community owned, and all the money that was just funded go towards the people that are actually building it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I don't, and I don't,
get out of here, Tap. Get out of here,
I
Tap.
don't,
We don't need you anymore. All right.
yeah, but I also don't want to say like, hey, like, don't look at
I
this as like
kidding.
I'm making this huge sacrifice, right? It's like, no, like I'm on it. I honestly put myself in the position I'm in a way that probably isn't the greatest way to say like, hey, I'm going to take a step back and go do something else. But the reality is like, okay, I could spend the next 3 months, deplete all the funds that we just raised, right, and pay them towards myself, probably is going to be harder to get people to actually want to do things in the community because nobody else is going to get paid, type of scenario. Or I can just say, hey, I'm gonna kind of like strip line here to some extent. I'm not just like up and leaving. I'm gonna have to
We know
refocus
that.
on
We
my
know
time.
that. We know
But
that.
that's kind of like the inflection point in building this, is it's like it actually is in a position to be successful without me. So a little bit of where my mind is at of like, okay, I need to go spend the time to take care of myself and prioritize the things for myself. And my hope is that with the funding that POAPathon has now and kind of the self-sustaining projects and revenue, that like this can continue on and take a whole different, kind of a whole different future than if I was at the helm just maintaining it myself. So I'll open it up for like commentary questions. I know that's a lot to unload.
No, but it's awesome, man. I really appreciate you sharing that because I think that too often in this space, people talk a lot about decentralization without actually, being serious. And the part of that requires stepping away. And the continuation of the project in, founder's absence is certainly a testament to its decentralization. So that's awesome, man. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, good for you, brother.
I actually like I thought about this a lot, and I was like, okay, if I wait another 3 months and I pay myself, there's going to be no money at the end of that, right? And then what incentive is there for people to stick around and build this, right? Whereas like right now, it's like, okay, the community can decide how money allocations go with the treasury within reason. Everyone, there's a thriving community here, and the last thing is like, no, truly, I think the money, even if it's fractionalized, will be more meaningful, impactful at scale, than if I were to just take a lot of it myself. And so, that's kind of where my logic went, behind some of the calls. Like, I'm not like, of all the money that we've raised, the only money I've really ever taken at POAPathon was a reimbursement for the POGs, from a manufacturing perspective, right? So it's like, okay, cool. I feel like this isn't a fair place to where like it's not a rug pull. I'm not walking away with a ton of money, right? Whereas if I did stick around for 3 or 6 more months, depleted a bunch of funds, and then decided I still need to go back to work, it'd feel kind of like a rug pull.
Sure.
It's interesting too.
Uh,
It's interesting too because we have developer costs, with doing our NFT project.
yes, yeah, yep.
So it's a balance in that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pay people at varying different levels and figure out how to balance that, right? But yeah, that's where it's like, well, I'm actually community building, but I come in at more of a developer higher end cost, just because of the experience and what I need from a lifestyle perspective, right? And so those are like kind of the real realities that I had to weigh and think out and try and be transparent with people, around like now I'm spending time trying to look for my next job, which could be in DeFi, like it could be in DeFi, it could be in cybersecurity, probably or IT, probably one of those three things. Haven't made any decisions yet, but that's what I'm spending the majority of my time on now, is like, okay, what am I going to do next so I can, short term pay some bills. uh,
Hell
Good
yeah, man.
times.
And I don't know. We talk a lot about we were talking earlier today about scam projects and this, that, and the other thing. And it's really awesome to see the community driven work of POAPathon and like you said, sort of where it's at, even arrived at very quickly in the last, less than what, 6 months or so, a little over 6 months maybe now. I mean, One Hive benefited directly from being able to participate in the ETH Denver event. And yeah, man, I think I get it. I hear you. And I'd love to see, where do you want to see? Maybe we can just wrap with this today. I mean, if everybody can chime in and share, where do you want to see POAPathon in a year, 5 years from now? Like, what is the big picture? Where do you think it can go? And, even if you're not necessarily directly involved in it, what is the big vision here? What do y'all think?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I look at twofold, which is like the vision was always a distributed Disney that also is competitive with like a 99 logos Fiverr. and inspiring people to connect and create. And so it's like, I don't like, we actually accomplished distributed production with POAPathon Live very fast and quick, where it's like, yeah, I would love to see a distributed Muppet show, a distributed cartoon. One thing I would say is like, I kind of got caught up so quick and so fast, and let's try and do all these things, that it gets overwhelming. And so like, in order to do those things, you truly have to push down, decentralize out very fast.
Sure.
Is, you know, one pretty big learning lesson. So I would just love to see like more projects spin up over time that are sustainable. But I think that the foundational model is there, and that's what's so exciting to me, is like, it's going to be cool to see what happens. Or hey, in 6 months maybe it topples over and it wasn't meant to be. Hopefully that's not the case. I think the community from a core perspective is in that place where it's like, it can be taken on to build it into something much, much more. But it's going to take that focus. What are your thoughts, Genetics and Beastodon?
Yeah, I mean, like I agree with what you said. I think what's absolutely incredible is that we've been able to network with so many people that are willing to come on and tell their story about Web3 with our cast as well. In addition, I mean, we're just like laying the groundwork essentially. So I think entertainment regarding our live show is like very very good in telling the story early on of how Web3 went together. Uh, while sustaining like um, our incredibly competitive and not to intimidate anybody, but like design services and whatnot. That's our bread and butter. We do our live show because we love it. I'm sure you can understand that, Wells. Just
Absolutely.
it's a gift. It's a gift to just be able to talk to people for whatever benefit.
Hell yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then future is like kind of our Cryptogs are Cryptogs Reborn, our baby that we created in the NFT
Accidentally.
space. Um, yeah, and then it's like it's what's fun about it too is we're an open committee. We welcome new ideas. We welcome I mean, I think our Discord is pretty damn huge at this point, in a sense. And we listen. I mean, so
Right on, man. We need to
Yeah.
find a way to collaborate on the content side too as well. I mean, we're all about trying to launch essentially decentralized, platform. And we started more predicated on like DAO news, but I think we could find some good synergy there. I'm excited. The more the merrier. We get a lot of overlapping interests, I think.
Yeah, hey, that is T Wells. Like, that's something that like really I thought about a lot, which is like, yeah, like Creator DAO is doing some cool stuff in this space. You guys are doing some stuff, and like, you have to look at it more like these are all complementary projects. Like,
Mm.
you have ABC and NBC and
yeah.
CNN and all, and that's the thing. I think that's what's the most important in this space is like, oh, Blockbuster DAO is doing cool stuff, right? It's like, man, if the more of these media projects can come together and collaborate to make a bigger audience and a bigger opportunity and take on some of these traditional media incumbents,
Hell yeah.
that's what's most interesting to me is like this can change the face. If everyone tries to do it independently, um, the odds of success are lower. And so, yeah, that's what I kind of think is like, I think like what you're doing on the media side and news and this is like very complementary. in collaborative to what POAPathon is doing as well. So you probably should come on the show and talk about it.
Totally, man. I'd love to. Yeah, I mean, like you said, and it's if we're gonna have a shot at taking down incumbents, as you said, we're gonna have to find ways to stick together and collaborate. Because the moment we become a serious threat, they'll just pick us off, right? So it's better we find ways to collaborate now. But I'm gonna get
Yeah.
genetics. You gotta share with us what you're looking forward to in the future, and I'll give you the last word today.
Absolutely. I mean, what attracted me to POAPathon was the fact that we're taking Web3 communities that may not have a connection to the arts and helping them connect with artists. And that synergy is what's propelling us into the future. And that is what our live show is about. That's what our Discord is about. You know, we have artists that stream their art. Like if they're just got time to draw, they'll just jump on the POAPathon stage and start drawing live, and you can just watch them draw. You don't even have to talk. Sometimes they don't even talk. Sometimes they just play music. And that is the kind of world that I want to live in, where the arts are valued, where the type of utilities that we're building into the world are valued. And you know, I'm super bullish on not just pretty pixelated NFTs, but the utility behind them. And without artists being matched with the right communities and the right devs and the right teams, that's not going to happen. So that's why I want to be a part of things like POAPathon, where the artists can meet up with the teams to make these things happen.
Right on.
Bless.
Bless, indeed. Well, and lest I forget, I want to again remind everybody Tuesday tomorrow is the next stream for POAPathon, so check them out on YouTube. And we do, alas, have a POAP for everybody who is in attendance today. So I'm going to share that secret word with everybody right now, and then it will be a mad rush for the for the app. So if you are listening, you stuck with us.
Oh boy.
The secret code. Now we have a way to make sure that
I love
the
secret
verified people see.
code.
we're trying to we actually have a couple of different things. We've got to hear from you guys the best way, particularly folks at Bankless, how to wrangle the farmers. But here we go. Okay, so the word for today is all lowercase 1HTV APR. All lowercase, one word, 1HTV APR. We're not going to put it in chat.
I know
please.
I know I'm not going to get that.
1HTV APR. Well, the good news, we have a backup of actual links as well from Rohek is doing the amazing job today. We wanted to offer the secret word up, but folks that he knows, and particularly folks from the POAPathon team,
Oh,
will,
it's
of course,
the
send you a
number
link.
one.
Yeah, we'll make sure everybody gets one for today. That we know for sure. But it's been great.
I'll
to
wait.
everybody.
I'll wait for the DM.
Oh, okay.
Rohek will hit you
Hopefully,
all
I'll
up.
wait for the hopeful DM. Otherwise,
Gone.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the full list of 200 is already done.
Wow.
No,
Wait, is it really gone?
We have some backups with links for folks that are known to us. This is I
I
don't know
hope
how
we're
to do
known
it best.
now. I hope we're
Of
known
course,
now.
Rohek knows you. He'll be on that, I'm sure.
What was the
And
secret word
actually,
again?
exactly.
Try
Yeah.
it. 1HTV APR.
I got a one of four.
1HTV what?
APR.
V is in Victor.
Yeah.
You have to
Wait,
understand
is it
that
the letters then?
Tap has a MacBook Pro that has had lemonade spilt on it already.
Oh, I got it
So
fixed. I got it fixed finally.
Sorry to hear that, man.
No, it's okay.
it was only like 2 weeks after he bought it.
My daughter.
his daughter, his
Oh,
daughter
no.
spilled lemonade on it.
Oh no.
It's good now. I mean, I shipped it in and Apple replaced every component.
Wow.
It was kind of funny. Like it's like the only thing we kept was the shell, and I think the LCD screen. So we're good. Also, I'll leave everyone with one last tip, and then I'll go. If you ever spill lemonade on your MacBook, don't put it in a bowl of rice. And don't do that with any electronics. It essentially just makes rice melt inside your computer and make it even worse.
Expand and get the weird starchy goo.
No.
I thought you were supposed to microwave it.
Oh, no, don't put a MacBook Pro in
The
your
secret is
microwave.
The best
No.
thing you can do is like
Yes,
leave it
both.
upside down, let it dry out. Don't put
Yeah.
anything on.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us on today.
Of course, everybody.
really appreciate it too, Wolf.
Of course, guys. Well, we'll keep in touch, and y'all have an excellent week. And GM to everybody who joined us. Cheers, everybody. Take care.
Thanks.
Yeah.